All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
So much of the hype around cable news and its hopeful demise given recent events is a reminder of why their demise is so important. Because their active propaganda worked to keep half the country keep it dumber, less informed during some of the most critical times in modern American history. Now, as I've always said, what cable news chooses not to show you is far more important than what they do show you. Selection bias is half the battle, as anyone who's ever looked at any scientific research actually knows. Perhaps no area of this was more glaring than that of the lab leak theory. I know it has been years now at this point, but I cannot believe that a single cable news channel outside of Fox, which only told about 1/25 of the story, is ignoring this new report from the Senate Health Committee, which, in my opinion, basically solves once and for all the question of whether COVID leaked from the lab. This 302-page report, which has been in the works for almost 2 years, was made public a few days ago. The details compiled together are absolutely damning. I encourage you all to go read it for yourself. Let's make our way through the report and the most important new details. Number one, an epidemiological look at COVID and its emergence in the city of Wuhan sometime in late October 2019. According to China's own data that it provided the WHO and a new review, a large spike of, quote, adult-like influenza symptoms began spreading across the city in November 2019. The spike was accompanied by negative tests internally for any known type of said influenza, despite thousands of cases spreading across the city and all of China. The committee gained access to unpublished reports inside China which show official Chinese CDC records who even identify a person in Hubei province contracting confirmed COVID November 17, 2019, weeks before China warned the world about COVID and of course shows deception from day one. More so, the committee dedicated major resources to looking at a natural origin hypothesis of COVID and systematically dismantling any credibility for it. The committee notes that in almost every single recent natural zoonotic spillover, there has been evidence left behind in animal samples to see the exact evolution of the disease. That includes the original SARS virus, which showed a clear and a credible jump from a palm civet cat over to an intermediate species to humans, and if the wet market theory were true, scientists would have to show not only the prevalence of COVID in animals at the market or samples, but they would have to show how COVID got there and how it morphed right from there to humans. The committee notes that China's CDC shows it collected 1,380 samples from the Wuhan Met Market in 2020, so well after COVID was swamping the entire city of Wuhan. And even then, not one sample from that market tested positive for SARS-CoV-2. In fact, the only traces of SARS-CoV-2 that was found at the market were the exact same strain found in humans at the time, indicating it was the humans who brought the virus to the market, not vice versa. It's important to establish a few things. One, we know all of this COVID was all over Wuhan by mid-November. Not just Wuhan, but confirmed cases all over China, according to internal Chinese communications. Second, even samples from the lab wet market months after the spread didn't even show COVID inside of these animals. Ergo, we can say with confidence the timeline from China and its theory of spread, absolutely wrong, not correct. So then, what about the lab? Here we will tread again on obvious ground. The Wuhan lab was cited for safety violations in 2018 by an internal U.S. Department of State cable, and actually the committee found a warning from March of 2019. Listen to this. China's own CDC director, who warned this, March 2019, quote, a potential major risk stems from stocks of concentrated infectious pathogens stored in laboratories and the absence of adequate biosecurity measures. Non-compliance of approved biocontainment and biosafety protocols could result in the accidental or deliberate release of pathogens in the environment. Genetic modification of pathogens, which may expand host range as well as increase transmission and virulence, may result in new risks for epidemics, specifically synthetic bat-origin SARS-like coronaviruses acquired an increased capability to infect human cells. So yes, you heard that correctly. Months before COVID leaked from the lab, China's own CDC director warned of a potential lab leak for genetically modified bat coronaviruses, which had the ability to more infect human cells. Worse, the committee's review found the Wuhan lab was conducting years-long research on genetically enhanced bat coronaviruses with an inappropriate level of safety at the lab, violating U.S. guidelines for the way it should have been done here, and raising questions again as to why Dr. Fauci and the EcoHealth Alliance were funding it in the first place. Then there is even more evidence, as we know. The Wuhan lab took down any record of the samples that they were studying in late September 2019, only to vanish them for all time. It is presumed that the sample list would guarantee to show SARS-CoV-2. More interesting is the committee's revelation that Chinese officials in November 2019 miraculously were able to begin production and research of a vaccine against SARS-CoV-2. The report finds something astonishing. The only way that a patent on the original Chinese vaccine for COVID would make any sense is if they had begun development of the vaccine before the first acknowledged outbreak of COVID. So otherwise, it was impossible for them to have begun vaccine production without having access to the sample itself. So when you put it all together, what do you find? In the conclusion for Lab Leak is this. 1. The fact that China is hiding records that can prove this definitively. 2, that there is a zoonotic origin for past viruses like SARS. 3, bat coronaviruses exist in nature. 4, there have been pandemics sparked by wet markets in the past. And 5, yes, that wet market in particular was maintained in bad conditions. Those are the cons. All of those can be true. But when you look at each of the specifics, none of them hold up under any scrutiny. I say again, as I did the last time a report like this came out, it's not a debate anymore. It's not even a hypothesis. At this point, it's almost 100% true. COVID leaked from the Wuhan lab sometime in September or October 2019. The preponderance of evidence has always pointed that way. The only reason you don't even know any of this for 2 years earlier is because nobody in the media did their jobs. They have to let the government let us know via report instead of in real time when we actually needed it the most. I mean, at least we have it now. You can send any relative or friend doubting the lab leak this video if you need to. It's really just not up for discussion anymore. Isn't it crazy, Crystal? I mean, I did an update on the first part of the monologue way back when. That's when I was talking about the hospitals and the geospatial intelligence around.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us. And if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.